right, we have a quorum. We'll call the second meeting of June to order for the Town Board of Liberty Grove. The clerk will note all supervisors are present, in addition to the clerk treasurer. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. If you have a cell phone, if you wouldn't mind putting it on vibrator, turning it off, and a reminder to the board to please speak into the microphones. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any additions, changes to the agenda? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. We have the special board minutes from June 1. Are there any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Supervisor Lassos abstained, not present.
Guy's hand just got to come.
Okay, and then we also had the minutes from the regular board meeting with the same date. Are there any additions, corrections? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve those. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And for the record again, Lou will abstain. Okay, payment of bills. Are there any questions on the bills? Should have copies of those.
On item number 13, the conduit for the harbor, is that just a temporary expense, or is there going to be a cost for installation?
That's just the materials.
Just the materials?
But it's my understanding that that's part of Mike Carr. The 284 is, I think, going to be in that, it's going to be put against the insurance claim.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay, any other questions anybody have? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented. For a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion is carried. Okay, public input. This is the opportunity to address the board on any given subject and or anything on the agenda. I think we probably have a small enough crowd when we get to an agendized item, just raise your hand. Okay. Any general comments anybody wishes to make? Okay, if not, then we'll go on to the status of the town welcome signs. I believe everybody has the proposals.
Did everybody get Hartman's? I sent that separately.
I have a question. We got a total of 4 proposals, right? Why in the world do Jones signs have been 3 times more expensive than the
Union.
highest? Oh, Union.
Union.
Okay.
Yeah, they noted that right off the bat, I think.
Wow. I thought it was a mistake.
And there was a mileage charge involved too.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of breathtaking, wasn't it?
Yeah, at the least.
I may be wrong, but I don't think on first blush that Link, I made a spreadsheet to do this, and you add it all up. Link is a little bigger, but I'm not sure they included the same posts that Hartman included, and the same size poles.
And it doesn't include the digging either for either
Right.
side, yeah.
And Hartman would be the attorney, a little bigger to take all that into
Yeah. You want to,
My comment about that is that Carol's quote is for a cedar sign. And when I spoke to these other guys, they all said cedar rots. So they all recommended the foam, the HDU material. that it lasts longer. You know that big sign in front of the hearth? Is it the open hearth? Anyway, it's a place right outside of town in Sister Bay that it's got a big log-looking sign. That's foam. And it's been there for quite a while. Anyway, they said the foam is real lasting, and you can carve the wood grain part into it and stuff like that.
You sure Carol doesn't have a source for that now?
I don't know, her bid said cedar wood sign. You know, paint doesn't adhere to that as well as to the other material. And, you know, my only comment is that I think the sign at the Viking was brand new, like 2 years ago, and the thing is a mess. I mean, I think they just redid it, but it just never, it didn't last at all, paint-wise. And so I've just kind of got a thing about having them do it.
And Pat, from like an artist's point of view, your sign is very subtle, and would it make a difference, in your opinion, that if it were on something like foam as opposed to cedar, would it stand out more?
I don't know that it would stand out more. I would assume that the paint adheres to the foam better, but it might be more lasting. That's the only reason that I would choose that over the wood.
Here?
Two observations, one from the Historical Society and one from Cottage Glen. The signs at the Historical Society are cedar. The southernmost sign started to crack last year because the sun was hitting it all the time. The paint didn't fade at all. With the signs at Cottage Glen, they are foam. They are glued in place, not screwed in place, whereas the cedar is screwed in place. They are subject to mold. And if you look at some of the mileage signs that are in Cottage Glen right now, which are the ones that I see, and I've talked to Doug about, they tend to get moldy and they cannot be cleaned. They have to be repainted.
Mileage sign, you said?
Yeah, there's a mileage sign, for instance, right in the side of the front gate. It said speed limit 12 miles per
I
hour.
was thinking about distance to the nearest house or something.
No, these are the small little
Speed limit.
decorative signs. The other thing that I want to mention is, before we consider which one of these proposals to accept, knowing that we have a limited budget, and Pat's not going to like this, but I want to make sure that she is paid before this is done. And to my knowledge, as of right now, she has not submitted a bill, and I'll submit a bill for her if she doesn't. There.
I would rather that, you know, I don't want to charge you a ton of money because I'd rather that you do a really nice sign. So that's where I'm coming from on that.
How about a half a ton of money?
So that's,
Pave my driveway or something like that.
Whoops.
the price of petroleum has not gone down, it's gone up.
You know, it didn't occur to me to like Google the wood sign versus the foam. I never thought of it till just now. So I'm not a sign expert, so I don't know. You know, we certainly have fluctuations in temperature and weather up here, so there's so much to consider.
Well, the other thing is that we have a sign on the barn up there that is vinyl on metal. And that sign, with the sun hitting it 8-9 hours a day, is in better condition than the cedar sign that's on the main signage. It's just, the vinyl seems to last, but I don't think it's something that we want as far as these particular signs.
What?
Vinyl.
Oh,
And then when I worked with, and this goes back years now, right, with Jones Sign, they had the proposal that we had seen, which is nowhere near as creative and informative as Pat's, but the rep, whose name was Nick, I think, said they would never do anything with foam, not in this climate. Only for the durability of it. It just looks better all the time, for much longer time. Because I was talking about wood, it seems so much more likely that our area would be more wood sign. And he said, well, we could make it look like wood, but we wouldn't do anything in wood, unless you insisted, he said. So I think foam is definitely the way to go as well.
I'd like to ask a favor of the board, that if that's the consensus opinion, I really have really want to know whether, call up, partner and ask her if in fact it is cedar or foam. Because I like to keep it local.
It says on the clip what it is.
Maybe she-
Sandblasted one side, cedar wood cut and painted.
Yeah, are you saying that maybe she has the option to do the foam, which would only be fair as well, it seems?
I have an observation as well in a quote, and maybe it's nothing, but, for instance, Reinhold says, you know, the signs painted as per artwork provided, and Hartman says painted as illustration suggests. Does that give license to the sign maker? Because I want the design we pick out to be what's on the sign.
I have worked with them before on signs, and I don't quite understand, but they like redo the fonts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've not, that's why I don't work with them, because it's not, you know, I want them to take the design and do it.
Absolutely.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I have worked with Carol. I'll tell you what her process is, and I'm not arguing one way or another. I do like Hugh's recommendation that we ask her if she can do it in foam. What Carol does is she puts the design work on a computer template, and I believe it's Windows, and they may have font demands in there that don't match what the artist has conceived. And then they send the template down to a sandblaster in Green Bay that does the sign itself. So that's the way her work process is done. I've worked with Carol. I commissioned the George Shakespeare sign down on Highway 57 in Bailey's Harbor. And I will say that that sign has been there 3 years now, and it looks magnificent. So maybe it's the wood preparation or, you know, whatever, but I'm not seeing the damage that Gary's talking about here.
There shouldn't be an issue with the fonts, because they're all outlined
Yeah.
in the artwork, so it should just be, they should be able to just take that artwork and use it. So, yeah, we could have to question Carol on that phrase that she put in there, and I think we should give her the chance.
With the exception of Jones, and I'm assuming Jones is off to take it this back. There really is one bid that is totally inclusive, and that's Reinhold. All the others have, well, Link, which is the old JAG, has, not including digging holes for the structures. And then if you go to Hartman, you've got a labor figure of 85 per hour, but no estimate of hours. And then also, well, the jackhammer is, 132 a day, so.
Here's the problem with that logic, is that you don't know what you're gonna get into until you dig the hole in Door County. Sometimes you hit dirt, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you hit stone, more likely you're gonna hit stone.
Well, and if you look at, Reinhold, the comment there is the high-pressure auger, pricing includes high-pressure auger and hauling away of spoils from drilling.
They do say difficult digging conditions will be discussed with the customer before proceeding.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a common denominator for everybody.
It is,
you know.
it is.
We've been run into that. Well, for the sake of discussion, I would move that we approve Reinhold conditional on hearing back from Hartman on the ability of Hartman to provide a phone.
We're taking 2 minutes, right, this call right now.
Oh. Think about that.
That was a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
I would also, I guess, like to hear from Reinhold. Is there some sort of, moldicide or something that they can put in, I don't know who did the signs we were talking about, Gary, that molded.
I have no idea, it was over 10 years ago.
And maybe technology has come up with something that
Right.
resists or impedes the growth of mold. It would be nice to ask that question, I think.
Well, I would think a lot of it has to do with the paint. I mean, you can get mold-resistant paint and stuff like that now.
What, is the mold on the wood?
No, it was on the foam.
Oh, it's on the.
These are foam signs.
Oh, I see.
A factor in that might be that it's so enclosed in there and wooded, whereas our signs will probably be kind of out in the
That
open.
could be too, yeah.
My take on this is we've been diddling with this for 3 or 4 months. I think it's time to move it forward.
Yes, I agree.
And if I remember correctly, when Carol submitted the first bid, it was done in full.
Is that right?
I believe so. And that they wouldn't have. But anyway,
Well, there's a
There's
motion.
a motion.
there's a motion on the floor.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Aye. So you want to contact, well, you contact Carol and then also contact Reinhold in reference to the mold situation. Please. Okay, moving on, consider a request for additional work behind tennis court at community center. My understanding on this is, there needs to be additional tree work done, am I correct, Bob?
Yes.
And the spreading of the chips, go ahead, Gary.
Okay, I had talked to Bud, we had met down at the community center with Ride the Higgins. And at the time, I expressed my concern about the work that had been done. And Bud was gonna check to see if the bid, what exactly the bid that Jake had proposed or submitted entailed. Because I had talked to Janet and it was quite obvious that that bid was not adhered to. He went over the bid. I would have thought that the bid would have included the removal of all of the stumps that were there and the clearing of the property, which was not done. Hence, since that work has been done, we now have 5-foot trees growing already. So if indeed the bid went over in terms of awarding a new bid, I would be very reluctant to pay somebody for some work that should have been done to begin with, or to pay him twice for work that he did. And so, if we are to proceed with this, one, that whole area has to be completely cleaned again. And we're not talking about just cutting down the trees and the brush. We're talking about stumps that are 2 feet high. And they need to be taken out, not just chopped down to the ground, because they're just gonna sprout up again. The rest of the brush needs to be cleared. According to Keith Breidenhagen, there are other trees that need to come down. And it is quite obvious that it is way beyond any money that we budgeted for this particular project. And there is nothing in the budget to do it right now, so my concern is that if it should have been done, then it's up to the previous bidder to finish the project. If not, I don't know how we're gonna go ahead and finish the cleanup. It needs to be done. I mean, it's quite obvious that by next summer, this whole thing is gonna be 5, 6 feet high again and have to be completely brushed out. So, I know what Bob wants. He wants us to go in and clean the whole thing out, lay the chips up on the top for parking, and then, so he can get in there with his crew and landscape the area that was supposedly supposed to be brushed. And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I think if we're looking at a one-man crew, am I correct? You were the one volunteer?
Myself?
Yeah.
Yes, I volunteered on behalf of the Ellison Bay Service Club because we have master gardeners
Right.
that can landscape. Clearing and landscaping are very different contractually. And so I stand by the landscaping beautification of the cleared land. We can do that because we have the ability to, but we don't have the labor or the equipment to do what Gary has.
Right, okay.
Stumping, you're talking about, that kind of stuff.
You also need to talk to our insurance company. Before any private individual goes in there, we gotta make sure there is absolutely no more poison ivy in there.
And there is poison ivy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bud and I discussed this, and I asked him if our crew could go in and at least get the chips spread out before Old Ellison Day days, and wait until fall, see what the budget looks like. If we've got money somewhere that we might be able to get somebody in there, to get the stumps out. And that also gives us the opportunity to put the crew in there to eradicate the poison ivy. And we probably ought to look back at the bid. That is the town line.
Yeah.
And see what was in that bid actually, because if they haven't, completed the bid, then we need to go all back.
That's what Bud was gonna check on, he was gonna put the content.
He told me, when did he leave this morning? He told me yesterday that the crew could get in there and spread the chips and do some stumping and clearing of the brush and all that kind of stuff, but it isn't gonna happen before Old Ellison Bay days. And we strongly recommend taking caution tape and taping off, because now that it's open, it's an invitation for people to poke around in there, and it's full of poison ivy. So we're recommending that maybe if caution tape can be wrapped around that area to keep people out of it for now.
Bud had mentioned that if the crew was gonna get in there at all, it would be after the roads are done.
Right.
So,
So could the master gardeners go through 2,4-D and get the ivy before?
Well,
Before Old Ellison Bay days?
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
you're not
You
gonna
don't have
knock
enough
off the
time.
poison ivy that fast.
you don't have enough time.
In the 2015 budget, where did the extra 2409 come from that was spent?
Which number are you looking at?
I'm looking at 2015, 7,200 was budgeted and 9609, 92 was
If you look up, the budgeted amount for the view cleanup was 3,500, and the bill from Town Line was 42. So, there, you know. And then, the budgeted amount for the regular maintenance was 37, and 45 was spent. So there's estimates that are, they aren't holding to estimates, if you will, I guess. I'd have to look and see, for instance, the soil engineering. Did we have an estimate for that? And, you know, or did the garden lady give us a firm number? And did she go over her number, or, you know, have to break it down a little bit more?
I guess my question is, where was the money pulled from to pay them? You know, we had a line item of $7,200, and we had to come up with another $2,400.
In the general Parks and Recreation, there was something that wasn't spent that could, you know,
Okay.
take that.
The other thing that I mentioned to Bud is I would like either a committee or the board to come up with a policy that says if a bid is submitted, they must adhere to that bid and not submit a bill for $12 or $40 or $2,000 over that bid without our permission first. And
All
it's-
change orders should have
Yeah.
pre-approval.
And it's just, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's, you know, we don't have the extra money to spend on it. If you bid, if that amount was bid, you know,
It's a contract.
it's just, it's the same with the time factor. I mean, do we have any policy in place that says if the work is not done by February 15th or June 15th and you go over to June 20th, do you pay us X number of dollars per day? Or do we just absorb it?
Each one should be, each one is a contract. The bid is the offer, the town is the acceptance, and obviously the payment is the consideration. And there shouldn't be any change unless, I mean, that's a contract. This is what
Right.
you've agreed to and we've agreed to. And any deviation from that has to either have pre-approval built in, and then if if time is the essence, if that's written in and they don't finish it by June 15th, then there should be some kind of penalty as well.
Okay. But I don't know if there's anything on, any policy in place that enforces that, or if we've
But
ever
that'd be a
enforced
policy,
it.
it's just normal.
Contracts.
The way you write a contract, that's a policy.
But right now, the policy of the district is if you go 2,000 over our budget, over a proposal, you pay the $2,000. We just pay it.
I don't believe that's a policy.
There is a difference between a proposal or a contract and an estimate. And I don't remember, did Town Line give us an estimate? So
Did
maybe you should,
They gave us a bid, right?
I
I
don't
think
know,
they gave us an estimate.
An estimate's a whole different deal, though.
right.
Well, then, yeah, that's not.
So- Maybe, you know, like what you're getting at is don't take estimates anymore. It has to be a contract or a proposal.
Okay, if that's what it's gotta be, then, I mean, it's,
Because those you
we're
can
spending
hold
hundreds
to,
of
whereas
thousands
an
of dollars
estimate you
on
can't.
stuff, that's
Now we're getting killed.
But
nickel
here's,
and dime.
Yeah, yeah.
but here's the deal sometimes, when you do work and there's uncertainty in it, if you want a proposal, if Lou wants to do his house shingles and there's some question if the plywood might be bad underneath the shingle to take it off. If you want a proposal on that covers that, and they open it up and the plywood's good, the contractor just made a bundle of money for nothing because you had to replace the plywood.
However, just like the last issue that we discussed with the Reinhold contract, they said anything above and beyond, they would not move forward without contacting the town and okaying it, and that seems very fair.
Any change order should
Yeah.
have pre-approval.
Okay, back to the issue at hand, although that's part of it. At this stage of the game, we can't, we don't have any money to keep
No.
moving forward on it.
Now, what I can do is I can bring it up at Parks and Property at our meeting next month, and see if they want to include it as a budgetary item. I would need a cost.
Well, there may be, by the time we get to fall, there may be, areas of less, if you will, areas of money not being spent that might be able to be switched over to cover this. And if not.
Or
at
depending
that
on how
point-
much our own crew is going to do.
Right.
We just have to charge that time out towards that project. It's not free.
Right.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Maybe I'm not understanding the procedures here, but it sounds like the contract was subcontracted by Bryden Egan to the forestry company. Or if so, why was it subcontracted?
I don't think it was subcontracted at all.
No, what happened was Christine made some suggestions that some work be done at the community center. And then she asked that Bud and I meet with her and Keith to go over the suggestions that she had listed in a letter. So we met with them and we went over that suggestion. It involved cutting down trees, it involved trimming trees, it involved clearing that whole area, with the idea that Keith wanted to go out and hire Jake right away to just come in and do everything. And they were told at the time that there was no money to do any of this, but we would look at it. So there was no subcontract with the Bryden Higgins to do anything.
So it was just their suggestions?
It was just,
But they weren't
you know,
paid a part of it?
this is what I would like to do, here's an outline of it. Can we meet and look at all of these different areas so you can see what I'm talking about? And we did that. And it's, it involves a lot of work, and it's not just a couple of $2,000-3,000, believe me.
What I was getting at was whether Bryden Hagan whether we were charged by Bryden Hagan for.
No.
Okay, that's all.
No, and Christine volunteered that as a member of the Parks
Right.
and Property Committee.
Good.
Okay, any other discussion on this?
I like the idea of, before Old Ellis Baby, is putting yellow tape around it, and I would even suggest maybe putting up a sign, poison ivy.
I think that would be more effective than the tape.
Yeah, probably, or snakes, or, dragon,
You want to see if you can get the crew to do that?
Before,
Yes.
before you move on, my understanding is that Tom Lane didn't finish the job. So do you have recourse to go back to them?
We've got to look at we have to look at what if it was a contract or if it was an estimate, and I believe it probably was an estimate. If it was an estimate, we don't really have anything to hold the feet to the fire.
See, my question was the work as estimated and proposed to us in the bid, which was the bid that was accepted, was it completed? Or was that what is there now was just left? And of course, then it came to light that not only did he do the work for the amount he requested, but he went over budget, which I think there should be some recourse for that. And it might end up becoming a much broader thing than what just him. Because we get bids and estimates in all the time. And my expectation, as Lou had suggested, that if you give us an estimate or a bid, that you're honored to hold that line. And we can't just be throwing $2,000-3,000 out every, time somebody makes a bid.
Carl?
I heartily approve of the necessity of requiring a change order for add-ons. You know, we work that way as private citizens. We like to see our public officials do the same. But I think that you've got to start from the right place here, and you don't start from an estimate. So I think that the town should have a policy of not working from estimates when you're doing outside work. It has to be a proposal. Or, something that's solid, and so you know what you're dealing with, because an estimate is too squishy. You can't have a change order on an estimate, is what I'm saying, right? I mean, isn't that the
That's
fact?
correct. That's correct. Now, that being the case, everybody has to realize when you go in for a contract or a proposal, they're gonna be hired. They're obviously gonna be hired. Because
It's like Boatwood,
as you pointed out, they've gotta cover the unknowns.
well, when Boatwood gives us a bid, they build in a contingency amount.
Right.
Fine.
But
Now,
at
the
least
thing
we
is,
budget for it.
the other thing that, and I'm tagging on to what Carl said, did we get a estimate from Town Line, or did we get a bid from Town Line?
So that's what Bud is checking, I believe.
And to me, those are completely different.
Yeah. No, if it was a bid, then we call them on the line. I suspect it was an estimate. Just have that feeling. Okay, going on. Consider approving intoxicating liquor, beer, and wine licenses. We have a list of 20,000 people.
And it got bigger, so. Okay, if you're going to do, let's see, he wants the beer and wine licenses done first. The only difference in the list you were given is that the picnic license for beer includes Door County North on Cork Summer. That's actually a picnic license for wine. No difference, in cost, they pay the fees and all that. It's just, they will be getting a license for wine, not beer.
Has anybody done a background check on this Louis J. Cavazos? He said it sounds sort of like gangsterish.
Really watch out for that guy.
It's the Chicago connection we're concerned about. Okay, any questions on the licenses?
Now, this is just the liquor part.
Right.
I don't quite get what we're voting on here, John.
Combo D, combo A.
There is, I don't, I'm kind of up to date on this stuff. I don't believe there's a license called a combo.
Well, it's,
What it is, it's one sheet of paper that incorporates a B license for beer and a B license for alcohol
Right.
on one sheet of paper. So it's considered a combination B license.
Okay. From my past experience the last month, it said it should be class, and then quote, B, quote, and quote, class, B, quote. It's kind of a minor thing, but it was brought up during the emails.
And they are called Class Bs.
Yeah.
That's what they're
That's
called.
what they're
Class B, Class A, Class C.
we're
JR
working,
wrote this up, and
yeah,
she
we're
titled
working
it.
with a little bit of Liberty Grove vernacular here.
Mhm.
So it would actually be a class B or a B license
Mhm.
and a class A license.
Correct, class B and class B, depending where the quotation marks
Well,
are.
yeah. Okay, any questions on those?
I move they be accepted.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Class B, beer only, and then class.
Question, is the Wickman House license still based on seating?
Yes.
Okay.
But I did check on that, and because that law has changed, if they are grandfathered, it would be anybody new that would apply. Their seating now has to meet different criteria. No outdoor seating is allowed. And Whitman House, part of their seating is outdoor,
Right.
but they're grandfathered, so they're okay.
As of last year, their grandfather?
And this year, because the law changed June, I think, May or June. So it would be anybody that applied this year for the seating requirement, all seats have to be
Al
indoors.
Johnson's.
Sister May, we don't care.
What's that got to
No,
do
his
with?
beer garden has a seating requirement that he has to adhere to. Or 2018 or something like that. Anyway, okay.
Okay, back to what the issue at hand.
Yes.
A Class B for ecology sports based camp. And then also Class C for ecology sports base camp and also the Savory School.
For wine, that is. So we need a motion to accept those? So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion is carried. Okay, going on to special Class B wine for Island Orchard Cider. I'll move its approval. For a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Motion carried. Will abstain. Okay, a picnic license for beer, VFW Post 8337 for Old Ellison Bay Day. And then top of the thumb during business at Door County North for Uncork Summer.
Motion to approve.
Say that one again? Are you including uncorked in beer?
That's what I've got down here.
No. I
Oh,
chose,
That's the one you changed? I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion now?
So moved.
What are we moving?
This is for VFW Post 8337.
Okay. And top of the thumb?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, picnic. Now, Door County North for Uncork Summer is under which one then?
picnic
Picnic.
license
Got it.
wine.
Okay, picnic license wine, Door County Secret Santa, Blues on the Bay, and Door County North for Uncork Summer.
Santa can make June. He's not too busy.
All right, I'll move that approval. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now that we've gotten the town high, we can move on. Operator licenses, here we go.
To the list that you have in front of you, new licenses requested today. Carol Jed and Caitlin Gersick. Both of them new, both of them are fine on the court check.
Those add to the list, those two ladies.
For those, and they're new, they're under new.
With the new, what was the notes on John Scarry?
2014 DUI.
Does that make a difference?
Does that disqualify them from holding one?
No.
No?
No, it's not that is up to you.
Any infractions of any kind between them and the court records?
No. I don't remember the board ever denying an operator license. I think we've had maybe 2 other ones that had DUIs in the past. I don't remember the board ever denying them, because, they weren't current.
Yeah.
I move approval of the new operator's license.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Renewals, are there any additions?
Oh, yeah. Okay, for renewals, we need to add Chandra Johnson, Adrian Muir, Melissa Nelson, and Katie Zander.
Want to go through that again, please?
It's Adrian Murray.
Is that how you pronounce it? Chandra Johnson, Adrian Murray, M-U-R-R-E, Melissa Nelson, and Katie Zander.
Katie's a hard worker.
Okay, all of them then, they're fine?
Yeah, they're all renewals.
Okay,
I'll move approval of the renewals.
I'll second. Further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Oh, that's right, Blue abstained. Okay, commercial launch approval, Shannon?
We got, a request for, Door County Kayak Tours. He has, added us as additional insured in his liability. He paid his fees. We gave him a permit last year.
Were there any problems at all as a result of that during
No.
last year?
I thought we weren't allowed in kayak launches at Women's Day.
On the rocky side,
on the Rocky side.
not on the swimming side.
Okay, I'll move the approval of Door County Kayak Tours launch permit.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Correspondence. Oh dear, he didn't leave it for you, huh?
He left me a basket, that's what he left.
He's getting even.
All the water has been tested in all the town buildings and it's safe to drink. Let's see. A local officials meeting in Ephraim at the Ephraim Village Hall tomorrow to discuss road work on Highway 42. It looks like Highway 42 in Gibraltar.
It's
Let's see.
20,
That's starting to roll.
it starts in Gibraltar, I think it's Gibraltar,
And the
off
meeting,
road or something, goes all the way to Sister Day.
the meeting will start at 6:30 tomorrow night at the Ephraim Village Hall. We got an email from Dave and Karen Studebaker. They had a friend visiting, they toured all the parks, which they've never done before, and they wanted to let the board know and whoever is in charge of the parks how wonderful, beautiful, and clean they were. Everybody got a copy of the Door County Community Foundation thing that they sent out. They're doing this Growing Older in Door County, and they will be hosting one of those talkabouts here at the town hall. We just don't have a date picked yet. A letter from Frank Rogers thanking for the repaving of Beach Road and parts of Old Stage Road. He realizes that it's an expense, but they look great. We got our MFL closed and open and FCL check, or deposit, and we have sent off the county's 20%. Our elevator at the fire station works great. Sister Bay is having their Beach Bash Paddle Fest on June 25th to, I guess, welcome in the finished road work. It starts at 11:30 at the corner, or there's a dignitaries and local officials, they're gonna have a ribbon cutting at 11:30 at the corner of Mill Road and 42. And the Sister Bay Liberty Grove Library Commission's audit came in, and Shank says everything is copacetic. That's all.
Future meetings.
NWTC will be meeting here on Friday at 9:30.
I'm not gonna be able to make that meeting.
No?
I'm iffy.
What's that?
I'm iffy.
Here.
I'm going to be here with bells on.
The summer dog class starts and I already missed one, so I'm gonna go.
Old Elsa Bay Days on the 24th, 25th, and 26th. Women's Club Subcommittee at 6:30 on the 29th. Again, meeting at the Women's Club. Yep, okay. The hall will be closed July 4th. The next board meeting is July 6th. Econ is meeting July 12th at 7 o'clock.
The library commission meets on the 12th as well. Yes.
July 6th? For the econ, sorry.
12th.
July 12th at 7 PM for the economic development.
Yes.
Yes. Probably plan commission on July 13th. Board again on the 20th. Open book is July 30th from 11 until 1 o'clock. And then just looking ahead, Board of Review, August 17th from 1 until 3.
We're not obligated to go to open book, it's just people come in with a plan, right?
Correct.
You might want to put it down. The fire board is on August 9th, Tuesday, 9:30 a.m.
Oh, I heard that.
9:30?
9:30.
That's different.
Yeah. They're going back to back with the Sister Bay meeting earlier so that the trustees could.
Did I see a sign outside of Sister Bay that shredding
Oh, yeah,
coming up
that's this weekend.
this weekend? Okay.
Electronic recycling and paper shredding this weekend,
That's the 18th, is it?
the 18th from 9 until 1.
Is that here?
Here.
Yes. And rumor has it someone is coming in with 46 televisions.
Oh, my.
Like they're cleaning out their garage.
So
Flat
that's
screens or
here,
regular?
right? Have that tunnel here?
Yeah.
Excuse me, when you say Old Ellison Bay Days on those dates, is that a meeting or is that because of the event?
The event.
Right, okay, yeah.
That's it?
No.
Okay, quickly, rule number 406, Alan Alden. Your assumptions are your windows on the world. Scrub them off every once in a while, or the light won't come in. I will hear adjourned. All in favor?
John, may I just,
Yes.
just a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to thank Gary and Bud again for the work they did to get what's done. The view is great. I mean, it's just wonderful. It's a lot safer for the traffic. Secondly, speaking of what my Liberty Road Historical Society had on,